Good afternoon, everyone. Thought I'd make a quick video here to spin through some of the things that Carroll said in his press conference and give some thoughts on them. So, obviously, a lot of the press conference was about Jamal Adams because that's the most recent news. His season ending injury is currently the most compelling storyline with this team for at least the day. So, he talked about how Adams was really upset about the fact that his season was over last night, that, he took it really hard, et cetera, et cetera. All the things that you would expect, things that don't really matter that much. One thing that does matter is that Carroll claims that the injury is not as bad as the injury that Adams had last year, and that there are no concerns about it being a long-term issue. Nevertheless, he does need to have surgery. So I guess that's the silver lining here. Look, this season for me, if you guys want to be optimistic, then God bless. But I'm not. I'm not. And I think that whatever playoff hopes we have are going to end in a couple weeks when we play the Rams, who are going to really need that win, by the way. However, if you want to be optimistic, okay. But just know that I'm not going to talk about it until I think there's something to talk about. But that being the case, having Adams back at 100% next year is the real priority here. What he could do for the rest of this season would have been interesting to see and would have been good information for us. But Jamal being ready to go next year is the priority, and this is certainly good news. As for what we might do about not having Jamal Adams going forward, Carroll addressed the possibility of getting another safety, doing something internally. We had, I think his name was Ashari Crosswell in the preseason and training camp, who I think looked pretty good. He ended up not making the team. If he's still not on a team, that's a decent option. There are some guys you can move to safety, kind of. But I think the most interesting potential option here would be to bring back Bradley McDougald for the last 5 games. Carroll said that McDougald is on their list. I don't know if that means they're going to do it or not, but Bradley McDougald was all right. He was versatile. I think he played strong safety and free safety when he was here. He's he obviously wasn't good last time he played football for the Titans and Jets, but there could have been extenuating circumstances there. We know Bradley McDougald has played all right in this system. Would not surprise me if we pulled the trigger on that. I would be fine with it. I'm relatively indifferent, but it's on the table. Okay, so moving on to other things, we have some injury updates. That's obviously what most of this presser was about, so I want to go over it. Brady Henderson has Alex Collins is practicing today and feels better after not playing on Sunday. Left guard Damien Lewis also practicing and appears ready to go. So we're going to need some time to see what's going on at running back with this team. Obviously, if Alex Collins can play, then he's almost certainly going to be the starter, because that was his role at this point going into the season. And I think we've learned our lesson with Rashad Penny. You don't want to give him too much work. He's going to break eventually. Penny needs to be a change of pace back. And as for Damien Lewis, Carroll did kind of step back some of the Damien Lewis optimism. He did kind of add a little bit of a caveat to the possibility of Damien Lewis playing. Corbin Smith says that they need to see how he does throughout the week before knowing if he can play on Sunday. So this tells me that it's very possible Damien Lewis misses this upcoming game. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm used to Carroll being overly optimistic. So when he says something like this to hedge his bets, I kind of just get a bad feeling. But it looks like the running back room's clearing up. Looks like Collins will be back. Penny made it through the game without getting hurt, so he should be playing at least on Sunday against the Texans. And Travis Homer, every reason to believe he's going to play. DJ Dallas, Adrian Peterson. We should have options at running back this week that we didn't really have last week. So one thing that I want to get into at this point would be the possibility of Damien Lewis not playing, because Corbin Smith also has this. Kyle Fuller, calf contusion, isn't practicing today. Sounds like he's going to get a few days to see where he's at. no disrespect to Kyle Fuller, the human being, the person who is probably doing the best that he can, but please let him be out for this game. For the love of God. Can we stop it? Okay? This is what I mean when I say that this team's on autopilot, okay? When I say this team is on autopilot, I'm talking about stuff like Kyle Fuller. Okay, we've seen him. We saw him a little bit last year. We saw him this year for several games. He's bad. All right, he fooled us for a few games earlier this year. He looked like he was getting better, and then he was bad again. And he's really bad at guard. If he's good anywhere, it's at center, but he's not really good there either. But he's really not good at guard. But autopilot, when I say that, what I mean is if Damien Lewis is out and Kyle Fuller is healthy, even with what we saw last week, I fully expect Kyle Fuller to start at guard. And that is a problem, and that is what I mean when I say this team is on autopilot. So, if Damien Lewis cannot go, let it be Jake Curhan. And I know Jake Curhan, he didn't play good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he played good at all. But when he entered the game for Kyle Fuller early, the offense actually became able to do some things. So, I don't know why this is a difficult decision for anyone to make at this point. But I know Carroll. I know how he thinks about things. I know how he does things. We've seen it over and over and over again lately. If Damien Lewis cannot go and he has the choice between Fuller and Curhan, I fully expect him to pick Fuller. And I don't know why. It's like he would rather have the bad thing that he knows than the unknown thing that he doesn't know. He would rather have something that he knows is bad than have something that could be good but could be awful. He wants to protect himself from the awful. So, again, no disrespect to Kyle Fuller, the human being, but Kyle Fuller, the left guard, is abominable. I don't need to see that movie again. Let me see a new movie. Let me see the Jake Curhan movie. Let's see if he can develop. There's a guy who could get better. There's a guy who needs some experience. I've already seen everything I need to see at Kyle Fuller. So, if Damien Lewis can't play, please let it be Jake Curhan. At least we'll find out. Maybe we can find something out. I've already found out about Kyle Fuller. And that kind of segues into what Carroll didn't say today when he was giving injury updates. Brandon Shell. So I don't know what that means. But if Brandon Shell does not play, we might get a look at Stone Forsythe again. And I know some people are really excited about that. He played pretty good against the Niners. He held up, didn't play a lot, but what we saw was pretty good. And Forsythe is a guy who, if he can show us something good the rest of the season, and maybe work really hard this offseason in getting ready to play full-time in the NFL, maybe he's a guy you can carry forward and be part of your offensive line as early as 2022. So I don't know what's going on with Shell. I don't know if he's totally fine, and that's why there's nothing to talk about, because he's fine. I don't know if they don't know yet, but I'm really interested to hear about Brandon Shell, and I hope we get an update at some point, because, look, Shell's a free agent at the end of the year, okay? He's probably not going to be back. He might be, but I don't think he will be, if I had to guess. Forsythe's going to be here next year. Maybe it's time to start finding out about him, because, again, isn't a whole lot to play for this team right now. All right. I'm going to get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. That's what Carroll had to say today. Mostly injury stuff, but the only non-injury thing he said was ironically about Rashad Penny, which, how's that for a coincidence? But see you guys later. Go Hawks.